So Charlamagne the Gay gave Governor, Brian Kemp donkey today because he signed an abortion bill that would say, if you can hear a heartbeat after 6 weeks, you might not want to kill that person. And it just had me thinking about, because his rhetoric behind it and his whole a woman's body and this and that and you shouldn't care and all this other stuff. It shows you the lack of patriarchal thinking that black men have, and how, a community that is usually perceived as matriarchal or has a gynocracy, you have men that think like Charlamagne, because he's not thinking about preserving, he's not looking at the ramifications of, what's going on with the black community, especially in New York, with black and Latino women accounting for like 35% of the abortions, but not even being, black women are only 6% of the population as a whole. But in New York, we have the highest population of black people, I think. But still, the numbers just don't add up. But I have been thinking about that. Let's talk about that for a minute. So, you often hear women complain about black men lack of patriarchalness and whatnot. But one thing you never hear them talk about is the negative things that come with the patriarchy, that the power that really comes behind it. Like it's what you see what Governor Sean Kemp did. He's signing in legislation that has an effect on women's bodies of all races, but in particular, his own race of women. So you hear the women online talking about, y'all not patriarchal, and y'all don't do this, and y'all don't do that, and you want, what I mean? They do all that, but they're very silent on the real power and control that comes with that. And to be honest, I don't think many of them even want that. One chick constantly complaining and talking about getting with these other races of men for this reason, but she said herself she don't want kids. And I'm like, well, what patriarchal man what he gonna do with you? Like, the whole point of them is building their legacy and building a future and securing it and staying in power and maintaining power. You can't give him children. What value do you have in that patriarchal world? Right? So it's confusing where the complaints and the arguments don't add up, because most of these women would not acquiesce to what these other groups of men demand. Not to mention, you can't just be deciding, I don't want to have kids. I know Sarge did a video about for Harriet and why she didn't want to have kids, just because she didn't want to do it, right? But in the video, he's talking about, well, I got 3 daughters, Charlamagne. I got 3 daughters, and I won't want anything hindering her. I'm just listening to that, and it's like, damn, we really far behind when it comes to this. Because, the reality is we don't have any control over our women. We don't. And even if it was something established, they're still not going to listen because they have the state to protect them, right? Because as much as this bill may be extreme to some of you pro-baby killers, aborticide, not much was said about the bill that was passed in Virginia by Northam, or the bill that was passed in New York by Cuomo, which pretty means those two bills, like, you can kill a baby on his due date and be cool, right? I don't understand how, Charlamagne didn't give Cuomo donkey day for that, for killing babies on their birthday practically, or their birthday eve, But it's just like weird, right? Roland's doing a book right now where he's talking about white people being scared about their numbers and demographic changes, which is true. They dropping like flies. They killing themselves. Like, the majority of the gun deaths in this country are suicides. Most of them are white men. The opioid crisis, all these things are happening. So what you see is a response to that, whether it's subconsciously or not. There's women, like there was 4 or 5 hospitals where majority of the women are white, having, like, it's not a pregnancy pact because they claim they didn't do it on purpose, but they're all conveniently pregnant at the same time, and they're all mostly white women in professional fields. So they got the resources to provide and take care of their kids as well. And they're most likely all married. And then you had the situation with the school where all, I think 7 or 8 teachers or 9 teachers, all married women, having babies at the same time. I don't think that's a coincidence. Despite them saying they didn't plan it together, I think that subconsciously, people are waking up to that, right? The fact that their numbers are dwindling, and they have to do things to flip it. So I'm just saying, what I see Governor doing in Georgia, that's what white men are supposed to do. If they want to maintain power and they want to maintain control, that's exactly what they're supposed to do, right? But we, being a gynocracy and matriarchal as fuck, we don't think in those terms. We don't care that our communities are full of Planned Parenthoods. We don't care that, again, like, our abortion rates versus our population are ridiculous. The fact that we say that there's 1 million more black men than women, or 2 million or something like that, but more black boys are born than girls, but boys have higher infant mortality rates, whatever. So we're pretty even, though. Despite that, we die more in birth, but there's so many of us being born. It's just we uneven after around 35, 40. That's when the numbers dwindle off. We die prematurely, violence, all the other things. But we're pretty even up to that point. But if you really want to think about beyond that point, why there's so many more of them than us, we talk about all other things, but we don't talk about the 50 million since Roe v. Wade that have been aborted of black babies in this country. I'm not telling anybody how they feel or not about this situation. I'm just saying it don't add up. Our population is already low. We're already considered still minorities. They say by 50 something, all people are going to be octoroon and biracial, looking mixed. I think that white folks are more prepared to deal with that, because whenever their numbers go down, they start recruiting, i.e. how the Irish became white, i.e. how Mexicans who are in this country are checking white on the census in boxes. As much as I keep saying the one thing, make a racist mad, give them mixed grandkids, and I'm like, they adapt and they move forward. They keep it moving. Like, those things may be, by the low-tier racist redneck types. No, we don't co-sign that, but the muhaha motherfuckers know, like, we gotta do what we gotta do to keep it moving. That's just my thoughts, though. I'm like, you got these men promoting child life and all that other stuff, and marriage and family. And on our other side, our family situation already screwed up. Our 30% of people was married, and I understand that's a long range. There's a lot of people that are widows and divorced and whatnot, or separated but still married or whatever. But despite marriage being down completely, go look at any of the white MGTOW's videos, right? It's not just us, but it is what it is. When you look at our numbers, though, and the cosign more things that will curtail building a strong family structure, it just doesn't add up to me. And when you hear so many of these women online who talk about patriarchal this and this and that, and they want these type of caliber of men, but then they don't want kids, it's like, he don't want you. Like, again, that's the whole point of this. Like, it's not just for your benefit. It's not just for you to feel validated and feel like you're provided for and all that stuff. You can have a lifestyle. It's deeper than that. It's about legacy. It's about future generations. So, again, you crying about all these things online about what black men offer, but you don't even want kids. So it's like, you should be with some feminist, egalitarian, 50-50 type of dude, because you're not giving him any children. So what value do you really have in that space, right? You're not going to tell no Arabic, Muslim, patriarchal dude, I'm not having any kids. You're not, right? You're not going to tell no African dude that comes here and that's patriarchal that you ain't giving him no babies. This is not happening. But it's just interesting, though. Just listening to, because Charlamagne dropped a clip of Bakari Sellers talking about, I don't want Mitch McConnell and all these white men telling me and my wife what to do with our baby or whatever, her body. Well, first of all, the only reason why the government is in y'all business is because y'all let them in there, right? Y'all let them in there to legislate on things that y'all wanted from the government, and whenever you do that, the government is attached to it. That's just facts. The more help you get from the government, the more they're going to expect in return. So that's why these politicians have their hand in that bag, which you claim that they shouldn't. That would mean stop petitioning the government to make people subsidize your abortions or your birth control and all other things, right? And I was thinking about that too. Like, you saw how the Breakfast Club had the black doctors come on. They had them on 3 times now. And they've had the old lady who worked at Planned Parenthood, as I call her, Thanos. And now they got a new Asian lady. I call her Thanos 2.0. And I'm like, they're promoting abortion. This is a black radio. This is a station, big, networked everywhere, promoted to black people mostly. And y'all have them come on. And then, again, fairness, y'all did let both sides come on. But the doctors are telling you that these things that are happening in our communities are hurting black women. They're telling you that these things that their women are putting in their bodies, the pills, are causing them to stress out, gain weight, cancers. It's like a whole racket. That's what was said in the doctor's video about Depo-Provera shots and other forms of birth control, right? So, again, the patriarchal man would say, I don't know about, I'm going to pass laws and bills to counter those things because it's hurting my women, affecting it. How many black women do you think would go for that, though? If they, I want to regulate my cycle, so I'm taking this, blah, blah, blah. Like, you have no control over that. Like, again, because we're not patriarchal like that. Understood. But, again, how many black women you think would want to give black men that power? For the greater good means something to think about. But I just know I keep hearing all this crying about the abortion situation and these laws. And I'm like, why are black people, why are we defending that though? Like, why are black men feeling like they have to be that ally on this topic when at the end of the day, it's going to be used against us at some point in time when we realize, damn, right? The black women will call out the brothers who swirl, talking about y'all replacing yourself and y'all little mixed kids. But they ain't got shit to say about this, where y'all eliminating yourselves completely. It's one thing to replace yourself, it's another thing to eliminate. That's just how I see it. Charlamagne should have gave Governor Cuomo donkey today for allowing babies to be killed on their goddamn birthday eve. That's crazy.
Higher birth rates in this country. Baby boomers are retiring. I did my part, but we need to have higher birth rates in this country. Baby boomers are retiring. I did my part, but we need to have higher birth rates in this country. Meaning, baby boomers are retiring, and we have fewer people following them in the workforce. Baby boomers are retiring. I did my part, but we need to have higher birth rates.